9. Communion with Absolute Wisdom. Its philosophy and efficacy. The mental capacity inherent in a human being is divisible into two components. One is the wisdom or intellect, buddhi, which caters to the needs of the body and accordingly formulates plans of contemplation, chintan, endeavor and behavior. The other remains engaged and derives pleasure in matters related to disciplines imposed by spirituality. It is the latter component which needs ideals to uplift the lowly to the loftiest pedestal and bestows courage for endeavors for the highest level of achievements. This attribute of mind is known as pragya, whereas intellect or wisdom, buddhi, lends support to collection of wealth, the devil of the material world, which is paradoxically the root cause of all unhappiness in this world. Pragya promotes the angelic traits of virtues and is forever engaged in sweet aspirations of imbibing celestial attributes. The limits of accomplishments of intellect end with accumulation of wealth and resources. It does not transgress the boundaries of earthly desires and greed. The realm of pragya, on the other hand, covers wider horizons of celestial acquisitions. These acquisitions encompass the bliss associated with the endeavors for high ideals as well as attainments of paranormal capabilities required for furtherance of activities of human welfare. The cosmos, Brahmand, is impregnated with an omnipresent extrasensory element called Akash. Only an infinitely small fraction of it is found permeated in the Pind being, or the bodies of the living beings, which is known as Pind Akash. In parlance of spirituality, the extensive component is known as Mathakash, whereas the part confined in the body is called Ghatakash. Pragya fills an individual's life with zeal. Since it dwells only in excellence, it is known as Ritambara. Mahapragya is permeating the entire universe. Exuberance of its grace descending on living beings, mankind, is seen in the form of farsightedness, wisdom, power of discrimination, adherence to justice, compassion and benevolence, whereas in the inanimate world, it is found operative in providing life, system and beauty in objects. Mahapragya is the component of Parabrahma, Almighty, relating exclusively to helping mankind in its progress and welfare. The animate and inanimate components of this world are benefited by the grace of God in innumerable ways, but the foundation for elevation of human being to pinnacles of progress which provides him the opportunities for reaching the ultimate goal, evolution of soul, is provided exclusively by Mahapragya. Whoever succeeds in acquiring whatever fraction of Mahapragya by any means, achieves his objective in proportion to acquisition of this attribute. The appearance of divinity, that is, celestial capabilities in man, depends only on the intensity of imbibition of Mahapragya by him. In context of spirituality, Mahapragya is known as Gayatri. It has two facets. One relates to its philosophy and the other to human behavior. The basic philosophy of Gayatri is nothing but spirituality. Dharma is in fact synonymous with civilized behavior. The inner self of a being is the domain of Gayatri, whereas his actions in the material world are governed by Savitri. Both Gayatri and Savitri are names given to the same celestial existence, the difference having been made to identify their applications and processes. Consider this analogy. A person may be known as a wrestler as well as a preacher, depending upon the act he is performing at the moment. In spite of his two names by virtue of varying activities, he continues to be the same person. In the same manner, Mahapragya is seen operating in two independent streams. On one hand, it plays a role in matters related to devotion, Shraddha and Bhakti, whereas on the other, it operates in the activities of welfare for the mankind. It is like operations of electricity which produces heat in a heater and ice in a refrigerator. Gayatri or Mahapragya manifests itself as a celestial attribute in the inner self and as prosperity in the material world. In spiritual parlance, these achievements are known as Riddhi and Siddhi respectively. Broadly speaking, Gayatri is a 24-letter combination of Sanskrit verses, a mantra, which is generally used during religious rituals or for japs, cyclic recitations with the help of a rosary. This is, however, a very insignificant aspect of utility of the superpower inherent in Gayatri. As a matter of fact, it cannot be bound in dimensions. Samagra Chetna, absolute conscious force, is known as a Virat Brahma or Pragya Purush. His omnipotent celestial competence of bestowing grace as Satyam Shivam Sundaram is known as Mahapragya Ritambara and Gayatri. With its imbibition, man progressively evolves to become Mahamanav, Siddha Purush, Rishi and Devdut, Superman, man with paranormal capabilities, saint, messenger of God, and finally attains communion with God. That is, in its final state of evolution, the soul, which is a part of omnipresent God, merges with the Supreme Being. This final state of evolution of the soul is known as Swarg, entry into heaven, in the physical sense, and Mukti, the ultimate absolution, of the inner self in metaphysical connotation. Whereas Mahapragya produces innumerable types of capabilities, Gayatri is described as Tripada, three-faceted. In the realm of spirituality, tripartite classifications of attributes have been frequently used. The three facets of Gayatri are called Sat, Chit and Ananda. Metaphorically, they have been likened to the confluence of the three holy rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati. These three attributes have also been personified as the three supreme male deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, or as the three female deities Saraswati, Lakshmi and Kali. The philosophers named this trinity as Sat, Raj and Tam and believe them to be the root cause of the creation. Gayatri is known as Ved Mata, creator of Ved, Dev Mata, creator of virtues, and Vishwa Mata, creator of universe. Ved means celestial wisdom, Divya Gyan. Ved Mata thus becomes the presiding deity of celestial wisdom. Dev, angelic, is one who is pious and gifted. Dev Mata, therefore, implies that one who comes in contact with her becomes like an angel. Vishnu means omnipresent, Virat. Thus as Vishwa Mata, Gayatri unifies the diverse elements of cosmos in a system, that is, coordinates the diversity of nature. With it the concept Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, entire world is my family, becomes universally expansive to make the feeling of belonging encompassing all living beings, flora and fauna. In this way, man is provided an opportunity to amalgamate in the above trinity his total conscience including faith, contemplative capacity, vicharana, and traits, pravati, which brings about a complete transmutation in his personality and character, kayakalp. For acquisition of these three celestial gifts of God, the elaborate structure of sadhana encompassing disciplines of bhakti yoga, jnana yoga and karma yoga have been created. They provide the basis for purifying the three shells of human existence, namely the physical body, stool sharir, and astral bodies, sukshma and karan sharir. The conceptual aspect, bhav paksh, of the divine culture, Dev Sanskriti, is called divine knowledge, Brahma Vidya. Detailed analysis of Brahma Vidya are found in ancient scriptures, expressions of ancient sages. The spiritually wise refer to only this science. The galaxy of spiritual analytical literature, namely the Ved, Upanishads, Darshan, Aranyak, Brahman, Sutra, Puran etc. may be considered interpretative and deliberative of Brahma Vidya itself. This plethora of literature throws light on various facets of Mahapragya Gayatri itself. From the beginning of the creation of this universe, the power of the Supreme Being is believed to have manifested in this world as 24 incarnations, messenger of God. This is a metaphorical expression of revelation of secrets imbibed in each of the 24 letters of Gayatri. The present analysis, which is being made keeping in view the physical and spiritual configuration of human entity and its requirements, may also be treated as an extensive spiritual treatise expounding Brahma Vidya. In a few words, all the above aspects related to human existence may be viewed as the philosophy of Gayatri. The concepts being described here are totally and comprehensively inclusive of all requirements considered desirable and essential for one venturing on the path of self-advancement. Gyan, wisdom, and karma, action, are twin attributes. Only coordination of principles and practice make it possible to understand sanctity of an ideology and its imbibition in nature and behavior. The other side of Gyan is Vigyan, science. To be of any useful consequence, both must proceed hand in hand. For producing current, the flow of negative and positive icons of electricity must meet and interact. One of the aspects of Mahapragya, the Brahmvidya, fills the inner self with the bliss of faith in high ideals. The other aspect is sadhana, which may be viewed as Vigyan or enterprise, Parakram, which acts as a catalyst in stimulation and concentration of faith. Gyan, by itself, does not produce any result. With the help of action, it is required to be imbibed in nature and behavior and made a trait, sanskar. The objective of sadhana is to translate shraddha, devotion, into nishtha, determination, and directives into practice. For this reason, even the sages maintain a regular daily routine of sadhana. The process of associating contemplation, chintan, with excellence is accomplished by yoga, while that of dissociating habits from vices and forcefully ushering them into the field of excellence is achieved with the help of devout austerity, tap. Thus, yoga and tap are the minimum requirements for getting rid of the deeply imbibed irregularities of traits. Convictions and habits are generally deep-rooted and tend to be obstinate. Although not justifiable on considerations of logic or propriety, they are difficult to change. It does not serve any purpose when an errant sometimes concedes to the force of arguments in favor of propriety in principle only, unless the change in convictions is found reflected in change of his nature and behavior as well. Had transformation of mass thinking and behavior been possible merely by presentation of logic and evidences, the prevalent means of education by literature on spirituality and interactions with the learned people would itself have changed the world drastically. Had it been so, the written and spoken words would have reversed the state of chaos and disorder in human society long ago. But the situation is quite contrary. The inner self of a person adopts certain convictions and traits of behavior which are reflected outwardly in his character, nature, and behavior. Any amount of persuasion does not suffice to make a change in the state of the inner self. Those who beat drums and blow trumpets of goodwill are paradoxically seen engaged in destructive activities. There is only one reason behind this paradoxical behavior. For changing the deeply ingrained tenacious traits in the inner self and for alteration of confirmed habits generally, enough force is not applied. In a metallurgical process, in order to melt the raw material and later to mold the useful product in the desired shape, a high-temperature furnace is needed. Is refining of impure metals possible without exposing them to an appropriate temperature? For extricating the inner self from the quagmire of tenacious traits, onto the firm ground of excellence, nothing short of imbibition of a habit of sadhana comprising yoga and tap in the daily routine is workable. The process of moral regression does not require any effort. The strong gravitational force of earth is ever present at all places to pull anything downwards. Spilled water instantaneously flows down the slope. On the other hand, for raising it additional equipment is needed and arrangements are required for forcing and carrying it upwards. In absence of these arrangements, upliftment, upraising or upward projections continue to be concepts only. Reading and hearing of scriptures, performance of religious rituals, etc. have their own significance and also provide limited benefits of their own. Nevertheless, where the objective is to dissociate the internal and external facets, of inner self and physical behavior from evil influence, and to achieve a total metamorphosis by incorporation of excellence in them, it is absolutely essential to take the support of the energy of sadhana. The twofold sadhana of yoga and tap is meant only for this purpose. With yoga it becomes possible to control the thought process, vicharana, whereas tap makes it possible to keep the habits under harness. Sadhana of Mahapragya necessitates many types of purifying activities, religious rituals and regulations. Notwithstanding the basic requirements, procedures of sadhana prescribed to a devotee differ from person to person depending on his mental and physical environment. For rectification of contemplation, chintan, the base, evil, instincts ingrained therein are confronted with equally strong virtuous traits, dev pravriti. Under yoga sadhana, arrangements conducive to fulfillment of the basic objective of eradication of the deep-rooted convictions of the undesirable dogmas and superimposition on them of virtuous thoughts and actions are made. Yoga helps the sadhak in two ways. On one hand, it provides strength to resist and finally defeat the forces of degeneration, whereas on the other hand, concomitantly, it establishes a close bond with elements of excellence. That is to say, the job is not completed merely by getting rid of the lowly non-virtuous traits, but at the same time efforts to fill in the void by augmentation of elements of excellence have also to be made. It is not sufficient just to cure the disease. After treatment, convalescence is equally important, and for the latter too, effort is required for exercise, nutritious food and appropriate climate. Imbibition of yoga comprises a total comprehension and deep penetration within the psyche of those ideologies which are absolutely essential for communion of soul with the Supreme Being. The process of yoga induces a reversal in the direction of thinking and strongly stimulates the mind for self-analysis. It generates an environment in the inner self full of devotion, shraddha, courage, enthusiasm and exuberance, which is prerequisite for neutralization of the evil traits and thereafter remolding of the thought process for positive thinking. In the complementary process of tapascharya, though the objective remains the same, the field of operations relates to human body. Activities of body always remain under the control of habits and traits. The sensory organs keep on demanding luxury and comforts. Mind is overpowered by cravings and a sense of belonging, that is, attachment to my and mine. Mind takes pleasure in dwelling on subjects related to greed, attachment and pride. The body yearns for a variety of pleasures created either directly or indirectly by the sense organs. The basic objective of tap is to instigate a revolt against all such yearnings and attachments and resist and discard the deep-rooted old habits and traits. The realm of yoga encompasses swadhyay, study and contemplations on spiritual literature, satsang, interaction with the spiritually wise, manan jap, contemplations on self-analysis and reform, dhyan, meditation, pranayam, specified procedure of inhalations and exhalations through either nostrils alternatively, mudra, postures of yoga, bandh, nad, lie and so many other techniques. Tap comprises activities like partaking tasteless food without salt, sugar and spices, aswad vrat, brahmacharya, refraining from sex, self-service for body needs, sleeping on floor, developing tolerance to changes in weather, maintenance of silence, etc. The objective is to make the body feel that it is being accustomed to voluntary exposure to discomforts of weather and food and tolerance for self-advancement known as titiksha. A significant medium that helps in imbibition of the process of giving up vices and taking up virtues during self-purification and self-advancement is the discipline of penance, prayashchitta, which means voluntary disclosure and acceptance of responsibility for the misdeeds and taking corrective measures. Each event of a misdeed committed by a person leaves a dark harmful imprint on his inner self. In course of time, all misdeeds, including the recent ones, form layers of a thick envelope, a cocoon around the soul, and become ingrained as evil instincts or regressive traits, kusanskar. Reactions of latter prove to be a greatest hindrance in the efforts of self-advancement, and in a variety of ways create such circumstances which do not permit the person to extricate from the cobweb of adverse reactions of misdeeds, thereby denying him the opportunity of progress. During the course of sadhana, these obstacles appear as occasional spurts like boredom, disinterest in sadhana, indisposition, and apparent adverseness of circumstances. They do not permit creation of environment conducive to protection of self from the consequences of past misdeeds. The new traits of virtues created in the initial stages of sadhana, unless strengthened persistently over a prolonged period, are nullified by the predominating evil traits. It is difficult to dye a dirty cloth or cultivate a rocky piece of land. Commissions of misdeeds over long periods distort the mental faculties to so great an extent that in the initial stages the spiritual practices, sadhana, do not appear to create any impact, and all efforts appear to be futile exercises. For overcoming this obstacle, the scientists of spirituality have considered confessions and willful corrective measures of previously committed misdeeds as essential ingredients of sadhana. This is known as Bhumi Shodhan, preparing the ground. In course of Kayakalp, a type of spiritual treatment, the patient is first subjected to Nari Shodhan. Similarly, an aspirant for self-advancement is, to begin with, undertake Prayashchit. In other words, we may say that Prayashchit is the process of penance under which one undergoes a self-inflicted punishment for his misdeeds, even before he is punished by God or society. In this way he removes the wild growth of evil traits deeply rooted in his mental field to make it cultivable for virtues. In order to make amends for the harm inflicted on others and to the society voluntarily or involuntarily, it becomes obligatory for a person to augment the noble traits and utilize a part of time and resources for social welfare. The process of Prayashchit involves a voluntary acceptance of physical, mental, and financial hardships for self, through specified procedures of tap and titiksha. It involves a detailed confession before the guide, Guru, of all physical misdeeds and sinful thoughts remembered at the moment. The process is known as Nishkashan Tap, penance for expulsion. Acceptance of guilt and its confession creates an instant feeling of relief in mind. Prayashchit involves fourfold actions. 1. Repentance for past misdeeds. 2. Taking a pledge to desist from repetition of the same. 3. Undergoing a punishment in the form of tap titiksha for the misdeeds, and 4. Engagement in social welfare activities for making amends. These 4 activities complete the process of Prayashchit. However, decision on them is not to be taken unilaterally. Prayashchit requires the guidance of a trusted, experienced, large-hearted and learned person of specific superhuman status who is known to have the capacity of psychosomatic treatment. In this context, a variety of pledges, vrat, fasting, upvas, pilgrimages, acquisition of spiritual energy from places of pilgrimage, known as tirth sevan, giving of alms and doing virtuous acts, dan punya, are required to be undertaken, which involve hardships. A mind relaxed through Prayashchit becomes well amenable for sadhana, which then produces desired results. The endeavor needed for analysis and advancement of the inner self is in fact an obeisance to Mahapragya, deity of supreme wisdom. In other words, it is nothing else than Gayatri Upasana, interaction or communion with Gayatri. The universe is densely impregnated with Mahapran, vital divine force pervading the cosmos. It is required to be drawn in by the devotee in self, in desired quantity. It is possible to do so by following the methodology of the celestial process of Gayatri Upasana prescribed by experienced ascetics. The process comprises a combination of 3 systems, namely Jap, Dhyan and Pranayam. However, which of these system is needed, for which objective it is required, and what should be the order and qualification, is decided by an experienced guide, guru, after careful assessment of the state of mind of the devotee, sadhak. There are, however, some rituals, common to all and sundry, which are to be followed in daily routine. The everyday routine of sadhana is meant for resisting the everyday incursion of evil traits and to mitigate the influence of the environment created by these traits. Just as one regularly follows the routine of daily bath, washing clothes, brushing teeth and cleaning the apartment, etc., daily activities of worship, upasana, are required to be adopted to keep the mind free of accumulations of evil influences. Specific disciplines of sadhana are additional inputs to this routine. It is this latter aspect which needs special attention for self-advancement. There are a variety of methods for performing Gayatri Jap. At times, some bij akshars, prefixes or suffixes, are also required to be added to the basic mantra. In course of meditation, the three chakras, nuclei of energy, act as source for three types of energy transmissions. These are situated near the navel, Nabhi chakra, near heart, Hriday chakra, and in between the eyebrows in the forehead, Agya chakra. The Nabhi chakra is a storehouse of the vital force which is also known as the Kundalini. In Hriday chakra is the storage of devotion, bhakti, which helps in communion of the devotee with the super being. It is also the source of continuous motivation. From Agya chakra emanates a flow of celestial wisdom, paranormal capabilities, farsightedness, prudence and a capacity to see events in time and space beyond normal human capacity, Divyadrishti. Activation of elements present in this chakra enables the person to grant boons or make a curse effective. Three-faceted Gayatri comprises the aforementioned trinity of celestial streams, and for this reason it is known as Triveni, the tri-junction. A variety of procedures for meditation are prescribed along with jap, in course of which the chakras are activated. This process is known as Granthi Bhed. The three obstacles interfering in communion of the sadhak with the super being are surmounted by energizing and activating these three chakras with the help of meditational energy. We shall now discuss the various techniques of meditation. Meditation in which a luminous medium is used is called Bindu Yoga. Nad Yoga is the technique of meditation in which the extrasensory auditory capacity is developed to sense celestial sound waves. The third technique of meditation is Laya Yoga, in which an endeavor is made to achieve the feeling of oneness with God with a total emotional involvement and ecstasy. It is known as Samadhi Sadhana. It is associated with Khechari Mudra, a yogic posture involving tongue, assumed for activation of Sahasra, energy transmissions in the nuclei in the cranium. Shambhavi Mudra, yogic posture, activates the Mooladhara, energy center at the base of vertebral column near the anus. For activating the Hriday chakra, one meditates on Jyoti Mudra, that is, Amrit Kalash. The above treatments constitute components of Gayatri Upasana and are prescribed after diagnosing whether the state of mind of sadhak is predominated by Satogun, Rajogun or Tamogun. A broad threefold classification of human beings in different stages of evolution of the inner self. Although the daily routine of sadhana being followed is more or less same for all sadhakas with only minor differences here and there, the specialized sadhanas are comparable to training given to a gymnast in a gymnasium, under expert guidance. Only this level of training helps one to enter an Olympic. Mere routine rituals do not provide this degree of expertise. Every living entity consists of three bodies: the physical, stool, and astral, sukshma and karan. Purification of these three bodies necessitates sadhanas of Hatha Yoga, Raj Yoga, and Laya Yoga. Amongst these three types of yoga there are many subroutines, permutations and combinations. Like medical science, the science of sadhana is an independent discipline. In course of medical treatment, it becomes necessary to keep track of the progress of patient. In the same manner, for an aspirant seeking pinnacles of success, experienced guides prescribe that technique of sadhana or combinations of yoga, which are helpful in catering to his need and provide solutions to his problems. A trinity of spiritual currents known as Ida, Pingala and Sushumna flows through the vertebral column of the human beings. The guide, Guru, takes decisions to prescribe the type of current and the component body which needs it. This phenomena has been metaphorically referred to as the three highways, Rajmarg, of access to the three worlds, Lok. In this way, the Bhu-Lok is related to Ida, Bhuva-Lok to Pingala and Swah-Lok to Sushumna. In totality, these three represent Gayatri. In invocation of Gayatri, mantra plays the dominant role. It involves the process of interaction with the three sources of power inherent in the three body components of the being through the medium of word power. According to spiritual concept, the cosmos is divisible into three regimes, Lok. It is possible to have an access to these regimes with the help of word power. All treatments of mantra yoga are dependent on word power. It is well known to a student of science that amongst various known types of energy, heat, sound and light, sound waves have been considered as significant. These are continuously under a process of transformation into varying atomic configurations and systems composed of biological cells. The inanimate, Padarth, component of cosmos is governed by 5 basic elements, whereas its animate, Chetan, counterpart is under the control of 5 vital forces, Pran. However, amongst various forms of energy which govern the activities of both animate and inanimate worlds, sound is most significant. The scholars of spiritual science make an endeavor to receive it as Omkar, Om. From Omkar emerge the three Vyaharti, Bhu, Bhuva and Swaha, each of which successively subdivides into 24 syllables to constitute the super mantra, Gayatri. Generally, in course of meditation, Gayatri is visualized and understood as the primordial power, Adi Shakti, personified as a deity seated on a swan, or as Bhurgav Savita in Brahmvarchas, or as absolute wisdom, Mahapragya. Nevertheless, it is to be kept in mind that the basic philosophy, Tattva Gyan, and technique of applications of Gayatri are controlled by that branch of science of spirituality, Brahma Vidya, which is based on sound waves, Shabd. This is the secret of Mantra Yoga. The entire theory and practice of this yoga can be explained in terms of the science of acoustics. Sound, Shabd, is the force acting as an intermediary bond between the animate, Chetan, and the inanimate, Jad. The effect of sound on matter is immediately visible. The force of sound is eternally being reflected in its reverberations and incessant propagation. Generation of sound on knocking on an object indicates that the kinetic energy within the material tends to communicate within an extensive area and is related to sound. Similarly, acoustics is an infallible means for knowing the internal and external kinetics of human being. The sound of circulation of blood in the arteries and heartbeat is indicative of the state of health of an individual. Likewise, the sound of ordinary activities such as locomotion, change of postures during sleep and respiration too indicates the physical state of the person. As is being attempted with light waves, the activities all over the cosmos can also be monitored with the help of sound signals. In fact, this is the only medium to examine the environment of the inner self. Speech is nothing but a manifestation of sound waves, used by all living beings for communication of their emotional state of mind. The human beings have developed a high level of efficiency and expertise in the skill of communication through speech. During sadhana, an interaction between the inner self of the sadhak and the super being is attempted exclusively with the help of Shabd Shakti, the power of sound. Various rituals of sadhana like jap, stavan, invocation by prayer, katha, narrations of fables, mantropchar, invocation by recitation of mantra, path, reading of scriptures, pravachan, addressing by a priest, kirtan, mass chanting of prayers, ashirwad, bestowing blessing, abhichar, treatment by mantra, etc. use shabd, sound, in one way or the other. Nad Yog serves as a medium for receiving signals from the divinity and for knowing the activities of the extrasensory world. Spiritual science has found such sound waves inherent in nature which are more powerful than any other source of energy discovered so far. The specialized appropriation and application of Shabd Shakti, word power, for infusing a high level of efficiency in the animate and the inanimate world, Chetan Jagat and Padarth Jagat, and thereby achieving the desired objectives from them is known as mantra. The present civilization is dependent on numerous varieties of implements and instruments. Their utility and effectiveness is well known. In ancient times, in India, the mantra Shakti, power of mantra, was used for the same purpose with a proven efficiency no less than the gadgets of present day. We may call the mantra Vidya, science of mantra, as a specialized discipline of Shabd Vigyan, science of phonetics. While structuring a mantra, experts of the science of self-development, Atma Vigyan, make array of words and syllables in such a manner that they progressively activate and augment the many unknown nuclei of dormant energy inherent in the body of the sadhak. The Gayatri Mahavidya, super science of Gayatri, holds a key to the mysterious superpower, an understanding and application of which impart to one the status of Siddha Purush, Superman, capable of performing paranormal feats. Fuel is an essential requirement for running even the most costly instruments. In order to be productive, a coordination of fuel and the machine is necessary. Let us consider the human body system. Apart from the extraordinary structure of its internal organs, members, living cells and hormones, it is also equipped with complex mysterious electrical charges having no parallel in the world in their subtlety and efficacy. This ingenious contrivance has been devised by the omnipotent God. While structuring the human body, the Creator has surpassed the limits of excellence. He has even hidden seeds of his own power and competence in this unique storehouse of human being in several places in the body. The normal functions of human body are performed with the help of food, water and air. But when the secret, dormant powers of human body are needed for some particular person, for a specific objective, or for making a rearrangement in the extrasensory environmental configuration of the world, an interaction with the cosmic powers is required. For this purpose, an entirely different kind of fuel is needed. It is well known that an ordinary oil engine can be operated with cheap crude oil, whereas for an aircraft high-octane aviation fuel is needed. A human being aspiring to do a higher level of endeavor for bringing in specific changes in the extrasensory world, needs an additional source of energy. This is possible only with the help of Shabd Shakti, which is sought after by noble persons for the welfare of mankind. The energy produced by Mantra Vidya, scientific application of mantra, from the medium of Shabd Shakti is stupendous and it produces miraculous results. Legends of boons and banes throughout the course of history of ancient India prove the veracity of this statement. With the help of mantra sadhana, it is possible to achieve extraordinary progress in worldly and metaphysical facets of life. Besides, it is also possible to serve the interests of others with its help. It provides a basis to unravel the mysteries of destiny and makes it possible to bring about desired adjustments in the invisible extrasensory environment guiding the course of events taking place in the world. The science of mantra has always been given due recognition in all the countries of the world and by all religions in some form or the other. In this context, not few attempts were made by the confidence tricksters to fleece the gullible, and enough damage was done by spreading misinformation. This, however, did not belittle the efficacy of mantra, and recharges of Ved, Quran, Bible, Zend Avesta and other scriptures continue to be utilized for wisdom as well as for higher spiritual science. The Gayatri mantra is an array of words. Its application through the medium of jap and enunciation is only for some limited objectives. Gayatri Vidya, the science of Gayatri, on the other hand, is a comprehensive science. In the realm of spiritual sciences, it is unique and has no parallel. Gayatri is also known as Brahmarchas. Brahma means Brahma Vidya, that is, Atma Vigyan, science of self-advancement, or Tattva Darshan, philosophy of basic elements. Varcha stands for internal ojas tejas, brilliance and enlightenment of the inner self, the external manifestation of which is talents, as in a genius. It also reflects an extraordinary development of competence and achievement of a significant position in the society. In a few words, we may appreciate the discipline of Gayatri as faith in high ideals, a sense of universal empathy and courageous endeavor to work for great objectives for the welfare of mankind. These are the celestial attributes with the help of which, man continues to ascend higher and higher peaks of excellence with the support of his inner strength, in spite of apparent ordinary capabilities and unfavorable circumstances. All types of paranormal achievements feasible through various techniques of sadhana are possible exclusively with the support of Gayatri Vidya. The elements of wisdom, Tattva Gyan, and the techniques, Vidhi Vidhan, of this super science are of immense significance for mankind. In order to understand these tenets and derive maximum benefits from them, one is advised to probe as deeply in it as possible.